A successful writer in the midst of a painful divorce is stalked at his remote lake house by a would-be scribe who accuses him of plagiarism. Johnny Depp stars in Secret Window, up next on Inside Movie. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. My name is George Michail. I'm a comic book maker, and today I'm joined by writer-illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK, novelist Andrew Buckley, and the editor-in-chief of Merc Publishing, Murphey. Today we're continuing on with our Johnny Depp month. Last week we did Edward Scissorhands. Next week we're going to do Sleepy Hollow. But this week we're talking about the Stephen King adaptation starring Johnny Depp, Secret Window. What's the good? What do we like about this movie?
This was one of the first like horror thriller movies that I ever could really watch. I did not do horror when I was younger. It picked up pretty fast with the guy showing up and then his dog being dead. It was almost immediate that we get into this. And I really felt the anxiety, and I think that Johnny Depp was very, very believable in his character.
So number one for me on my list of good for this movie is the pacing. I think it's kind of incredible actually, because I was never bored. I was totally dialed in the whole time, and it's really just a suspenseful drama because there's very little action. It's set mostly in a cabin with a guy by himself, and yet the script keeps you wondering what's going to happen next. It's pretty tight.
This movie has the distinction, I think, of being the first time ever that someone turned around to me in a theater and told me to F off. Because in partway through the first act, I said, he did it. And then partway through the second act of the film, the guy literally turned around and said, fuck you, buddy, you ruined this movie for me. So this movie is it kind of has a fun, nostalgic history for me. So I put that in the good, that it's super predictable.
I've also been told to F off only one time in a movie theater, and that was during Scream 2. There was a cat jumped down, and I screamed really loud, and some big jacked up muscle guy in front of me turned around pissed off at me because me screaming scared him, and he's like, it's just a stupid cat.
I'm trying to think if I ever have been told to fuck off in the theater. I don't think I have. I'm a very good moviegoer.
Well, when I come out to the West, so I'll make sure we see a movie together so that we can break your streak.
You can tell me to fuck off in the movie. That'd be great. John Turturro in this movie is really good. I like. He doesn't. I wouldn't say that guy seems to have a lot of range because he always plays what feels like a bit of a similar character, but I always like watching him act. I don't know what it is about him. He always has a very enigmatic performance, which is true of kind of everybody in this movie. Charles S. Dutton does a great job. Johnny Depp, no one can play weird like Johnny Depp, so he plays it really good. He sells crazy like nobody's business.
I have to wonder if for the wardrobe, if they just had him wear his own clothes. Because if not, I think that this is where the modern Johnny Depp style was birthed. Because that could have just been Johnny Depp walking on set just from home every time.
Johnny Depp is just so likable. His little mannerisms and his goofiness just works for me. I believed him as a writer. He's a little bit too good looking for most writers, but he's, but yeah, he seemed like a writer. Actually, but when he was at the computer and he's think or something like that, and then he doesn't write anything.
Yeah,
and
that's more writer's work. That's in the bad. Are we on the bad? Are we doing?
No, we're not there yet.
I was thinking to myself, I'm well, that's how you can't make it better until you write it down. So just write down some crap and keep going, man. But he wasn't working that way, I guess.
The relationship with his soon-to-be ex-wife and the way that the phone calls that they have and how they want you to believe that she does care about him and is trying to be there for him. And then finally at the end, she gets off the phone and you realize that she's just been doing these phone calls. She's just been reaching out because she's just trying to be done with him. And that was heartbreaking to me. And I thought that was a turning point in the story. And I think that was done well.
Yeah, I'll give you that, Murphy, for sure. That was a good part. I also like the subtext of his split personality and the relationship. He's splitting in the relationship, and like the trauma of, you know, the cheating is causing him to have that split. There were some good parts in it. I just building up to a reveal that you see coming like 70 minutes ago was hard.
That is the problem, though, the predictability of it. I mean, and I don't know if is it because it opens with that one scene in the motel where it seems fairly obvious that he's unhinged, unstable, you know, willing to go extra lengths. Like the whole thing was kind of set up in the first 5 minutes, and then it goes into this weird little kind of, I don't know. It's a very simple through line, is what it felt like, because to get to the point where he does have that split personality. I had the same issue when I first watched it a few years ago. Like when it came out, I was like,
yeah,
it's always the crazy one.
It falls into that same problem we've mentioned before, is that if you stunt cast it, you know, like they cast Johnny Depp because everyone loves him, so no one will assume that he's the bad guy. As opposed to the actual facts which are on screen, which is like there aren't that many characters, and the person who's acting the most peculiar is him, so probably him. And the like guy in the funny hat who shows up with he's just like such a caricature of a human being.
Awesome. Good.
Yeah,
good.
I really do love John Turturro. Like
John Turturro is a good actor.
He's amazing, and I didn't put it together instantly. Like, you know, when he showed up at the door, I thought he was really there. I didn't think he was like a figment of Johnny Depp's imagination. So, like, I do, like, I saw it coming a little bit too early, but I didn't see it like in the first act. Like maybe there was half an hour to go, and it's like, oh, he's the killer, and then, you know, 20 minutes later they revealed that he's the killer. So it took some of the steam off of it, but there was like a solid, like, the first hour for me was like super solid in this movie.
Well, so I've always had a huge interest in like psychology and the brain and madness, and I just think that there's even if you realized before, I think that there's a lot that they played with in that still makes it a great movie. Specifically, like something that they never even said that I've kind of extrapolated from. I think that he did steal that story, and that guilt and the fear of being caught again is also mixed in with the trauma of the cheating and the almost shooting and all that stuff. And I think that that's what birthed that man in his mind, is that he knows that this story is stolen, and that's why that was what kind of pushed him into this madness.
Murphy, you just made the movie better to me. So, like, if he didn't deserve to have the story, then he didn't deserve to have his wife either. And so it's kind of his own comeuppance. 2 points to Murphy. I don't know what we're keeping track, but somewhere on the screen, give Murphy 2 points.
For some behind the scenes to the audience, I am a massive Johnny Depp fan. We are doing this Johnny Depp month for me. So you guys be fucking ready. If you have bad points, I'm going to be here like, but. And mostly they'll be not just my love of Johnny Depp. Like that point. I'm proud of that point.
There was a certain point in the movie where you feel like, you know, it's the tension is rising, and it feels like the moment where he should be on the run. Like he should be trying to escape all of that. He doesn't run away, but you know, two guys who are on the run right now?
Us! Andrew and I have a new television show called Nerds on the Run that is premiering on TELUS On Demand here in Canada, and it'll be right here on the Inside Movies channel coming very soon. Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about our show?
Yeah, so we are making this wonderful kind of documentary pilot episode for a ongoing series called Nerds on the Run. It's where George and I are going to travel around to different locations that have certain amount of significance in pop culture and nerd culture. We see how awesome things are made, like video games, movies, animation, and it allows us to travel around, be pretty silly, and also learn about some awesome pieces of the entertainment that we all know and love.
Yes. So the show will be coming out actually in January 2024, but what's coming out like this month in January 2023 is the behind the scenes featurette. So it's a special where you get to see what we're doing and what we're up to, and you get to see a lot of my physique in the very tight and revealing Rambo outfit that is sure to have some comical moments to it.
It's worth it just for that, just to see George almost have a nip slip. It's really cool.
All right, yeah, so stay tuned on this channel and definitely go over to TELUS Optic TV and check out our special. let's get into the bad now. What did we not like about Secret Window?
There
That's
are
the
not
problem.
enough characters for it to be a mystery. There's just not enough for it to be a mystery. And the fact that he's sleeping all the time is the obvious reason how things are happening, right? Like it just, I just find it too hard to watch. I love Johnny Depp. His performance is great. I like the editing in this movie is great. The pace of the story is pretty good, but it's just, there isn't enough meat on those skinny bones for me to have a full meal. I don't know where that metaphor came from, but I'm going with it.
It suffers from.
It's because you're a very skinny man.
That's what it is. It suffers from a lack of source material. Secret Windows, Secret Garden, I think it was called, is a novella. It's short to begin with, and yeah, I also wrote down complete lack of characters. Like, there's just not enough characters to throw enough red herrings to have you thinking about this to the point where it's like, oh, it could be that person, or oh, it could be that person. Or there's something deeper going on. It's like, no, Johnny Depp's crazy, and he sleeps all the time. He's obviously like the one like who's driving this thing. Who is this person? So unfortunately, it kind of makes, as kind of fun as it is when she goes in at the end and it's got "shoot her" written all over the place, and you have that thing where the door opens and you stand there looking creepy. It should have been so much cooler to have that reveal, and so it kind of makes the resolution feel a little bit unfulfilling because you've seen it coming a mile away. It doesn't hit like it should.
So that's my number one complaint as well, is that the ending isn't impactful enough. Like, if he would have gone like, if Johnny Depp would have done like full Jack Nicholson in The Shining and just like, you know, gone mad and it's like just, you know, tearing down the walls and the doors to like get her when she comes there, that would have been pretty full on. But it was kind of a little bit subdued.
The part, I feel like the very end scene of the sheriff coming in and saying like, we're gonna find the body, like we know what you did, I think that was wholly unnecessary, especially since that's the same sheriff that when he came in to say, hey, someone murdered my dog, didn't really seem to care at all. He's like, I think he said, I don't know if that's even a crime. It's like, what are you talking about? So that's, you know, I think the sheriff specifically is probably the only thing that I was just like, it just didn't make sense the way that he handled things, situations.
Well, not only that, isn't it like we're supposed to believe that he buried them under the garden? Like, that's the whole kind of, I'm right in that, right?
Yeah, they're supposed to be under the corn, is this supposition there.
Right. So if they believe this guy killed it and they're looking for evidence, I mean, wouldn't the first place be this freaking property that he lives on all the time? Like, it's like the lamest like hidden body in the world. He buried it in his own freaking garden full of corn.
Yeah, it's like they would somehow not dig up the corn.
Yeah.
Right? Well, we wouldn't want to wreck this guy's cornfield to look for a body.
My other negative here, though, my only real other negative, like other than seeing the ending coming to an extent, was, and this is a bit nitpicky, but I just wasn't super invested in the ex-wife. I think another actress, like this actress was fine. I'm not saying that she did a bad job, but if it was like an established star that I was familiar with, like if it was like Drew Barrymore or somebody that like you would be kind of like, oh, I know her, I'm rooting for her, and then, you know, she's in trouble, I would have cared a lot more. Does that make sense?
Well,
so you don't like Maria Billow, is what you're saying?
Yeah, I just don't really know her that well.
Well, they didn't, because she doesn't have a ton of screen time. You know, you don't have a lot of time to get to know that character, and the only thing that you do know about her is that she cheated on her husband. So I understand what you mean about that. If they had put in a big star that was already loved, then you would feel that love would that love would transfer into the character, whereas we didn't really have a chance to build that when she is ultimately in a dangerous situation.
Now, while I would agree with both of you that she's not like the stunt cast that Johnny Depp is, I just looked up her filmography here before that. She was in Maintenance, Metamorphosis, Permanent Midnight, Payback, Coyote Ugly, Duets, Sam the Man, 100 Mile Rule, The Cooler, Silver City, all before Secret Window. So
she was probably a star of the time.
Yeah.
It's another Stephen King movie about a writer. Like, how many freaking Stephen King movies can we watch where a writer is the damn character? It's in it's in Misery. Like he just constantly, it's in The Shining. Like, he loves writing about writers, and as a writer, I don't think I've ever written about a writer before.
Writers are awesome, dude.
I'm gonna write.
but
I'm gonna
as
write you
characters?
into. I'm gonna write you into my fucking book.
And kill me off because I hate Edward Scissorhands.
No, I'm gonna write you into my book, and you are going to love Edward Scissorhands.
No, that's so mean. So mean.
Just on the Edward Scissorhands thing, I was watching the movie with my daughter today, and she's like, "Why would you give him scissors for hands? What about like spoons? That would be like way more practical." That's what she said. Edward Spoon Hands isn't as catchy though.
Oh my god.
All right, let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for Secret Window. I'll go first. I'm giving it a B+. I'm actually going pretty high on this one. I thought it was a super solid thriller with excellent pacing, a great lead, just a bit soft on the finale, keeps it from getting like a higher grade, but I like this one.
I'll give it 2 out of 5 bodies buried under the corn. A little too predictable, and not Johnny's best work.
Yeah. It loses me on the predictability thing. I give it 2 John Turturros running through a field away from a chain gang out of 5 because you should watch Oh Brother Where Art Thou instead of this movie.
That's one we should do. I'm giving this 8 out of 10 stolen stories to feel guilty about. I still really, really like this movie.
Awesome. So that's going to do it for another episode of Inside Movies. I've been George Michail, joined by GMB CHOMICHUK, Andrew Buckley, and Murphey. Be on the lookout for the Nerds on the Run behind-the-scenes special coming soon to our YouTube channel and to Telus Optics TV. Until next time, peace!